Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle, me, in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. This is number 84, part 2, a continuation of the Secret Doctrine. H P Blavatsky, the founder of Lucifer Trust in New York City, which published a lot of the New Age books. If you look on the index, you'll see Lucifer Trust on some of the older ones. Well, to tone it down, they switched it to Lucas Trust. And I've shown that in some of the books I have. On the index, it says Lucas Trust. I actually have some that say Lucifer Trust. So as I continue reading this, and I did one video on morals and dogma, the Bible for the Freemasons, written by Albert Pike, and both Albert Pike and H P Blavatsky apparently are in meditative states, or however they do it, trances. We're in communication with interdimensional beings called masters. And at least we forget Aleister Crowley, who changed the spelling of his name so it added up numerology 666, and the way you do that is A is 6, B is 12, C is 18. You just keep adding 6. You can draw a little line and do this, and check your own name and other people's names and words, like Santa Claus is 666, Kissinger is 666, Monsanto, genetically modified foods, Monsanto is 666, and many other words that are just too strange. The coincidence is too unreal. So there appears to be this magic, numerology, numbers, which is discussed in these books. I'm thinking about Oz, the Wizard of Oz. The land with witches, the Wicked Witch of the North. Anyways, Dorothy and her little dog and the whole movie. They say there's some kind of symbolic theme to that movie, as well as many others, as many of us are aware. So with all that said, I think I'll just get started reading on this, and again add my commentary as we go along, so that maybe with my discussion, the words in this book, and your brain, and what we all learn, I appreciate comments in the comment section on these videos. Maybe we can figure this insanity out. I was watching another video that I've been watching for almost a week now, that somebody sent me, that maybe we fought the wrong enemy in World War II. And the horrific activities that went on in Germany, from the west with the Russians coming in, and on the east with the English, and then the Americans under Roosevelt tricking the United States people into the war. The slaughter reminds me of the Middle East right now since 9/11. The slaughter is endless. And the relentless pursuit of Assad in Assyria right now, Syria. Seemingly with the efforts to rebuild King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, and the Zionist Jews pursuing more land and resources and obtaining billions of dollars from the United States Treasury each year, while jobs are lost in the United States, and I'm sure all over Europe. So something cosmically is going on. Some battle of evil forces bent on destroying Christianity and mass murdering people yet again, like they did in World War II, or shock and awe in Iraq, and in the Middle East ever since 9/11. And during 9/11, bringing down those buildings with a seemingly inside job. Building 7, never hit by a plane, completely collapsed after Silverstein, the owner, whatever his name is, said pull it. So the building was obviously rigged with demolition materials. And Danny from Norway, a demolition expert, when he saw Building 7, he said, "Yeah, demolition." Norway, trying to fake it there. And days later, he's killed in a horrific car wreck. The evidence just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting. But anyways, with the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Rosicrucians, the Kabbalists, all mentioned in this book in Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma and other books that I've gone over and other books I'm going to go over, this seems to be their religious belief. So keep that in mind when I read from this book. And see if you don't think, like I do, that it's a bit absurd. Strange. What is magic? Why are they abducting people every year and sacrificing them in satanic rituals and witchcraft and the Illuminati, which is witchcraft? And who knows how many other cults? And the Talmudic Jews abducting people and bleeding them and drinking the blood to have some kind of favor come from some kind of celestial gods. You can't make this stuff up. All right, page 83. Father, mother, spin a web whose upper end is fastened to spirit, the light of the one darkness, and the lower one to matter. It's the spirit's shadowy end, and this web is the universal spun out of the two substances made in one, which is Swabhativat. In the Manduka, Upshandhad, it is written, as a spider throws out and retracts its webs, as herbs spring up in the ground, so is the universe derived from the undecaying one, Brahma. As the germ of unknown darkness is the material from which all evolves and develops, as the web from the spider, as form from the water, etc. This is the only graphic and true if Brahma, the creator, is, as a term, derived from the root birth, to increase or expand. Brahma expands and becomes the universe woven out of his own substance. Moving on. It, the web, expands when the breath of fire, the Father, is upon it. It contracts when the breath of the Mother, the root of matter, touches it. The expanding of the universe under the breath of fire is very suggestive in the light of the fire mist, period in which modern science speaks so much and knows in reality so little. Great heat breaks up the compound elements and resolves the heavenly bodies into their primeval one element, explains the commentary. I'm only reading my highlighted portions, so I'm not reading everything. The words themselves seem to be a little self-explanatory. The expanding and contracting of the web, i.e., the world's stuff, or atoms, expresses here the pulsatory movement, for it is the regular contraction and expansion of the infinite and the shoreless ocean of that which we may call the nominum of matter emanated by Swabhativat. I have trouble pronouncing these words, which causes the universal vibration of atoms. It shows that the ancients were acquainted with which is now the puzzle of many scientists, and especially of astronomers. The cause of the first ignition of matter or the world's stuff, the paradox of the heat produced by the refrigerant contraction, and other such cosmic riddles. For it points unmistakably to a knowledge by the ancients of such phenomena. There is heat eternal and heat external in every atom, says the manuscript commentaries to which the writer has had access. The breath of the father, or spirit, and the breath or heat of the mother, matter. So they're calling the spirit the father and matter the mother. And they give explanations which show that the modern theory of the extinction of the solar fires by loss of heat through radiation is erroneous. The assumption is false, even on the scientist's own admission. For as Professor Newcomb points out, Popular Astronomy, page 506-508, by losing heat, a gaseous body contracts. So let's think about that. They're sky spraying and controlling the weather. By losing heat, a gaseous body contracts. So we're losing heat on Earth, or I guess if you're getting heat by the Earth heating up with global warming, so they say, man-made created global warming, then the gaseous body, the Earth might, with all its oxygen and atmosphere, might expand instead of contract. And the heat generated by the contraction exceeds that which it had to lose in order to produce the contraction. So I'm just saying, are they using some kind of sinister science to cause earthquakes and all the problems we're having, droughts? This paradox, remember, it's the Freemasons and these secret Illuminati groups, etc., Zionists, Jesuits, and all that, that do control our governments and finances and the planetary actions that are going on. Of course, through deception and deceit. They don't control it in a fair manner. But then again, would evil be fair? I think not. It would be evil. This paradox that a body gets hotter as the shrinking produced by its getting colder is greater, led to long disputes. The surplus of heat, it was argued, was lost by radiation, and to assume that the temperature is not lowered with a decrease of volume under the constant pressure is to set up at naught the laws of Charles' nubular theory. Contraction develops heat, it is true. But contraction from cooling is incapable of developing the whole amount of heat at any time existing in the mass, or even of maintaining a body at a constant temperature, etc. Professor Winchell tries to reconcile the paradox. Only a seemingly one in fact, Homer Lanes proved by suggesting something besides heat. May it not be, he asked, simply a repulsion among the molecules which varies according to some law of the distance? Just throwing in my 2 cents about the global warming. If there's sky spraying and people are noticing that the sun seems a bit hotter than usual, and there seems to be drought conditions worldwide, and you can see the sky spraying. Although today, the sky, and yesterday, it's pretty blue skies with clouds, and we have had rain here in North Carolina. So when they're not spraying, it seems like I look up, I see a normal sky, and we had a normal thunderstorm. Just saying. Moving on here, if any of this makes any sense. Then Shavbat sends Fohat to harden the atoms. Remember, this is apparently their belief religion. The Secret Doctrine. This is the stuff that the New Age is made of. All those books published by Lucifer Trust, now called Lucas Trust. Lucifer and Lucas both mean light. Fohat hardens the atoms, i.e. by infusing energy into them. He scatters the atoms with or primordial matter. They got this cosmic intelligence. I guess they think the whole universe is alive by this entity. who can scatter the atoms or primordial matter. It is through Fohat that the ideas of universal mind are impressed upon matter. So they think that matter, if I pick up a rock, it's connected to the universal consciousness. Theorizing here from what I've been reading over the many years. It is of interest to note that modern science has come to the conclusion that all our cerebral and brain activity are attended by electrical phenomena. And on the bottom note here it says, this is said in the sense that the flame from a fire is endless, and that the lights of the whole universe could be lit at one simple rushlight without diminishing its flame. Page 86. Listen, ye spirits of the earth. Listen, ye sons of the earth, to your instructors, the sons of the fire. So listen, ye sons of the earth, to your instructors, the sons of the fire. So I guess the sons of the fire are the instructors. Learn there is neither first nor last, for all is one number, issued from no number. So there is no first and last. I guess everybody's one. Remember, Aleister Crowley, the book of the law, there is only one law. Do as thou wilt. Do anything you want. A little breezy out here. These terms, the sons of fire, and the sons of the fire mist, and the like, require explanation. Alright, moving on. They are connected with a great primordial and universal mystery, and it is not easy to make it clear. There is a passage in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm saying it wrong, Bhagavad Gita, wherein Krishna, speaking symbolically and esoterically, says, I will state the times and conditions at which devotees, departing from this life, do so never to return, be reborn, or to return to incarnate again. So Krishna is going to explain to them how they don't have to be reborn or incarnate again. The fire, the flame, the day, the bright lucky fortnight, and the 6 months of the northern solstice, departing, dying, in these, those who know the Brahma, yogas, go to the Brahman. Smoke, night, the dark, unlucky fortnight, the 6 months of the southern solstice. Dying in these, the devotees go to the lunar right, or mansion, the astral light. Also, and returns, is reborn. These two paths, bright and dark, are said to be eternal to the world, or the great Kalpa age. By the one, a man goes never to come back. By the other, he returns. Now these names, fire, flame, day, and the bright fortnight, etc., as smoke, night, and so on, leading only to the end of the lunar path, are incomprehensible without a knowledge of exotericism. All this occult, secret magic I talk about, part of the religion of these people who rule our world, Skull and Bones, Illuminati, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and there are many other cults. Also things like the Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus, the Bohemian Grove where they throw a baby in the fire in California. Alex Jones took a video. If you don't know what it's about, you probably need to. and the Bilderberger groups, Club of Rome, the Vatican, Jesuits, the obelisk all over the world, the arches they're trying to install all over the world, devoted to the demonic god Baal, the all-seeing eye Horus on the US dollar bill, and so much more that I keep mentioning over and over and over. Okay, these are all names of various deities which preside over the cosmos' psychic powers. We often speak of the hierarchy of flames, of the sons of fire, etc. Sankarachara, the greatest of the exoteric masters in India, so these are these masters, says that fire means a deity which presides over time. So fire is a deity which presides over time. The able translator of the Bhagavad Gita, Kersheneth Trembak Tilong, M.A., of Bombay, confesses he has no clear notion of the meaning of these verses. It seems quite clear, on the contrary, to him who knows the occult doctrine, secret doctrine. Occult means secret. Remember, the Freemasons and the other mystery school of Babylon. Babylon means the gateway of the gods. This would be the material over there on the pyramids and the great sphinx, the hieroglyphics, and monuments all over the world with the snake and sun symbols, etc. are symbols of these gods. This is the religion. These people all swear under threat of death not to divulge this stuff. That's what I was trying to get to in my brain when I get on with the words and I get lost. As anybody could reading this stuff. That's why I like to throw in my commentary to try to make it a little interesting. Not that everybody should agree with everything I think, but I think we should have the discussion and try to figure out what the heck is going on. Speaking of that, I'll throw another little funny story into this mix that's going on right now. Apparently, we got CERN in Geneva, which is on the Swiss-French border. And Geneva is the long-time homeland of the Illuminati, another mystery cult just like your Masonic Lodge downtown, or the Rosicrucians, or the Jesuits, or the Zionist, or all these other cults. So CERN has a statue of Shiva out front, the religion that seems that H P Blavatsky studied over there in India. And 666 in the logo, which is in the Bible as the mark of the beast, apparently caused a earthquake that was felt around the world. It's on seismographs all over the world. Identical patterns at the same appropriate time. So what is CERN doing? That should be concerning. I think it has something to do with this stuff. Shiva's out front. The demonic goddess of the Vishnu, or the Indian religion, Hinduism. And then I think in 2009 there was another incident with CERN that they fired it up and they caused a ripple, like you see in the movies, in our atmosphere that apparently went around the world and hit different things. Apparently, one plane that was hit by this wave from CERN, you can look this up, was over Bolivia getting ready to land, and seconds later it was over Spain. It was transplanted in time. So one has to wonder what's going on. Now we remember my videos on the Philadelphia experiment, my videos on the Project Montauk in Long Island, where they were creating time portals and shoving young abducted children, boys, through them, and doing all kinds of other insane things to young boys with mind control. And there's another incident of this guy, Mark Malcolm, I think, who had stolen some transformers from the utility company and built a big Jacob's ladder. That's those two electrical arcs you see running up and down two poles. One here, one here. Well, anyways, he threw a screw through the arc and it popped over there. And apparently he was experimenting with time. And many other instances. I think one of H.G. Wells' most famous stories was about the time machine. This is the man that says we non-initiated people, just like the Jewish call us non-Jews, we're goyim. H.G. Wells called the rest of us profane and animals not to be trusted. So the common denominator keeps popping up and popping up. The people who are not into these mystery cults, as it says in the title of this book, The Secret Doctrine. And I'm trying to read it right now, so see if we can make some sense of this secret doctrine. That apparently is the material that Helena Blavatsky learned when she went over there to India with Mr. Occult. And then when they all came back, there were other people involved, they opened up the Lucifer publishing company in New York City and published a lot of those New Age books. And later on changed it to Lucas Trust to try to tone down the obvious connection. And so a lot of that stuff that's going on in the world right now. And the symbol for the New Age is the rainbow. And the symbol for the gay agenda is the rainbow. And the meditation room in the United Nations is all occultic symbolism. I've gone over that. We'll go over it again. So it might behoove us. And apparently these people making decisions have no qualms about horrific murder and torture and rape and pillage. Because, as we have read in this book and other material, they think we're animals anyways with no souls. So they're really not killing anything other than too many deer in the forest to them. Smoke, night in the dark, unlucky fortnight, the 6 months of the southern solstice, dying in these. The devotees go to the lunar light, the mansion, the astral light, also, and returns is reborn. I read that. These are all the names of various deities, gods, which preside over the cosmic psychic powers. We often speak of the hierarchy of flames, of the sons of fire. It seems quite clear, on the contrary, to him who knows the occult doctrine. This is a secret doctrine, which is the occult doctrine. Occult means secret. With these verses, the mystic sense of the solar and lunar symbols are connected. The Petris are lunar deities, and our ancestors. So these lunar deities are our ancestors according to this book, because they created the physical man. The Ajishwitha, the Kamaruna, the 7 mystic sages are solar deities. Through the former are Petris also. These are the fashioners of the inner man. They are the sons of fire, because they are the first beings in the secret doctrine. They are called minds, evolved from primordial fire. So they got these primordial minds, or these minds, these deities, that apparently they're saying created man. The Lord is a consuming fire. So they're saying the Lord is a consuming fire. Page 87. That's in Deuteronomy 24. Deuteronomy 4:24. The Lord Christos shall be revealed with his mighty angels in flaming fire. The Holy Ghost descended on the apostles like cloven tongues of fire. Acts 2 verse 3. So Helena Blavatsky's quoting some stuff in the Bible here. Vishnu will return on Kalki, the white horse, as the last avatar, amid fire and flames. Remember the movie Avatar, where they put themselves in these little boxes and left their bodies and got in these big blue bodies? That would be called an avatar. You think that movie was just purposeless? Or do you think it was trying to give us some kind of symbolic message? And like I've been mentioning earlier, there seems to be a rash of possession going around in the world, in China even. One man describes it as some black ghost-like entity trying to enter his body. I think a college in Ohio, 3 girls were playing where the Ouija board became possessed and they had to be taken away in straitjackets. Look into this stuff. Just reporting what I find. So Vishnu will return on a white horse as the last avatar, amid fire and flames. And so Shish will be brought down equally on a white horse in a tornado of fire. And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him is called the Word of God, Revelation 14, number 13, amid flaming fire. Fire is ether in its purest form, and hence is not regarded as matter, but it is the unity of ether, the second manifested deity in its universality. But there are 2 fires, and the distinction is made between them in the occult teachings. The first is a purely formless and invisible fire, concealed in the central spiritual sun, is spoken of as triple metaphysically, while the fire of the manifested cosmos is serpentinary throughout both the universe and our solar system. The fire or knowledge burns up all action on the plane of illusion, says the commentary. Therefore, those who have acquired it, are emancipated, are called fires. Speaking of the 7 senses symbolized by Hotus priest, the Brahmin says in Amuga Gita, thus these 7 senses, smell, taste, color, sound, etc., are causes of the emanation. And the commentator adds, it is from these 7 from which the self is to be emancipated. I am here devoid of qualities, must mean the self, not the Brahma, who speaks. I'll just continue to say this. When I read this, and then I go back to reading Morals and Dogma, which I'll do another one of those next, and another one of these next, and another one of those next, and you're going to find out that the religious beliefs and the teachings of Helena Blavatsky's material, the Secret Doctrine, that she learned over there in India and other places, is the same similar material in all the other occult books, including the Freemasonic books and the Bible that Albert Pike wrote, so-called Bible, Morals and Dogma. That's why I'm alternating these, so if you watch one after the other, you're going to go, ha, 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 ha. You're going to see it. These are the people behind the New Age and the New World Order, and doing all these techie things with HARP transmitting systems, microwave transmitters, gigantic 40 acres, and they're beaming huge microwave beams off the sky, controlling the jet stream, microwaving people, all kinds of weird experiments. CERN opening up portals, sky spraying, adding heavy metals and other things to the sky. There's some purpose behind all this by some intelligent entities from beyond. Maybe they cast out angels from heaven, demons. They have a plan. It might behoove we people to look into it. What's God going to do when he says, well, my people who believe in me won't even wake up and pay attention But all those people worshiping the devil, Isis, Osiris, Horus on the dollar bill, Lucifer, all those people are in cahoots and want to murder and rape and pillage the rest of us. As Aleister Crowley said, if it feels good, do it. Murder, pedophilia, or whatever. Theft. Nothing should stop people from doing whatever they want. And how many people are speaking that and quoting that day after day these days? They've been convinced. They've been programmed. They don't care about the murdering going on over there in the Middle East. People losing their homes, homeless people disappearing. Million young children a year apparently abducted. A lot of people believe for satanic rituals, sacrifices. All right, moving on with this book. The expression, all is one number, issued from no number, relates again to that universal and philosophical tenet just explained in stanza 3. That which is absolute is, of course, no number. But in its later significance, it has the application in space as in time. It means that not only every increment of time is part of a larger increment up to the most indefinitely prolonged duration conceivable by human intellect, but also that no manifested thing can be thought of except as part of a larger whole. The total aggregate being the one manifested universe that issues from the unmanifested or absolute, called non-being and no number, to distinguish it from the being or the one number. It's a challenge to read this stuff. Learn what we, who descend from the primordial seven, we who are born from the primordial flame, have learned from our fathers. All right, moving on. The distinction between the primordial and the subsequent 7 builders is this. The former are the ray and the direct emanation of the first, sacred 4, the Thekratis, that is the eternal self-existent. One eternal in essence, note well, not in manifestation, and distinct from the universal one. It is the latter who is the Immaculate Virgin Mother, who is overshadowed, not impregnated by the universal mystery. When she emerges from her state of Leia, or undifferentiated condition. In reality, they are, of course, all one, but their aspect on the various planes of being are different. Theogony of the Creator gods. The first primordial is the highest beings on the scale of existence. They are the archangels of Christianity, those who refuse, as Michael did in the latter system, and as did the eldest, mind-born sons of Brahma, Vedas, to create, or rather to multiply. Moving on, from the effluency of light, effluency, the ray of the ever-darkness, sprung in space, the reawakened energies. The 1 from the egg, the 6 and the 5, then the 3, then the 1, the 4, etc. here. This relates to the sacred science of the numerals. There we go again, 666. Numerology. So sacred indeed, and so important to the study of occultism, that the subject can hardly be skimmed. even in such a large work as the present work. It is on the hierarchies and correct numbers of these beings, invisible to us, except upon very rare occasions, that the mystery of the whole universe is built. So apparently there are these invisible beings upon which the whole universe is built. They don't want you to believe in God, and they're trying to destroy Christianity. Jesus said, believe in him and you'll be saved from whatever end time event is going to happen. And these people have their theory that all is one, which is part of the New Age teaching, and there's no such thing as sin. So I don't think it takes a genius to kind of say, well, wait a minute, what do you mean there's no such thing as sin? People can't go around doing this or that. That's not right. But again, if they think that those of us who are not initiated, we're just animals with no souls anyway, then we can be just trashed. That's a nice way of putting what they do to people. After that video, I watched what they did to those Germans. While Washington, D.C., probably those Zionist Jewish banksters and the Rothschilds, the Illuminati, were financing the communist Russia, because Russia was losing the war on the Eastern Front. And so they propped them up with money, billions. And so they came swarming back. And they didn't just war. They intentionally mass murdered men, women, and children, generally speaking, raping all the young girls and women and even mothers along the way, horrifically, and then shooting them in the head or cutting off their head. It was just beyond horrific. Even what a lot of people are testifying now about what's going on in Iraq, Syria, the Middle East, what went on. Unbelievable. So it's just hard to imagine who these people who control our world definitely don't like the philosophy of Jesus, who said to treat others how you want to be treated. There's a definite opposite here. I'll choose Jesus over Aleister Crowley and this New Age stuff any day. That's me. According to Manu, Hara Garba is Brahma, the first male formed by the undiscernible, causeless cause in a golden egg, resplendent as the sun, as states in the Hindu classical dictionary. So the Brahma was formed in a golden egg, resplendent as the sun. In the Rig Veda, it is said that the Lord, one Lord of all beings, the one animating principle of gods and man, arose in the beginning in the golden womb, Harayagarbha, which is the mundane egg or sphere of our universe. That being is surely androgynous, so that's male and female. Now you know why they got the New Age material promoting forcibly on mankind, passing even legislation. It's a crime to not agree with this stuff, or you lose your job and people get punished in the newspaper and all that if you don't go along with pansexuality, transgenderism, homosexuality, adultery. Apparently these entities we are dealing with as pictures of the devil and of these other gods, they're androgynous, both sexes. That being is surely androgynous, and the allegory of Brahma separated into two and recreating in one of his halves the female Vach in himself, and Viji is a proof of it. There's some notes here on the bottom. The four representative in the occult numerals of the Tetratus, the sacred or perfect square, is a sacred number with the mystics of every nation and race. It has one and the same significance as Brahmanism, Buddhism, the Kabbalah, and the Egyptian, Chaldean, and other numerical systems. Oh my. Alright, moving on. The Prajapita are like the Sephiroth, only 7, including the synthetic Separa of the triad from which they spring. Thus from the Harayagarbha, I'm sure I'm saying these are wrong, but you get the point, or Prajapiti, the trium, primal Vedic Trimiti, Agni, Viyu, Sura, remember these are Indian words from India, emanate the other 7 and again 10 if we separate the first 3 which exist in one, and 1 and 3 all, moreover being comprehended, with that one supreme parama called Guga, or secret, and Savitma, or super soul. The 7 lords of being lie concealed in Savitma, like thoughts in one brain. So are the Sephiroth. It is either 7 when counting from the upper triad, headed by Ketha, or 10 exoterically. The 3, the 1, the 4, the 1, the 5, and in their totality, twice 7 representing 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, the numerical hierarchy of the Dayan Kohans of various orders and of the inner or circumscribed world. Hope you're getting all this. There's a point, though. We pay attention to this, and then I'll go over morals and dogma and read from that. And let's see what we all think. Remember, the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, Illuminati, these are all the people that these selected people from society go into these lodges or temples and get initiated under threat of death, not to share the secrets with the rest of us. They control our government, the military, the finances, and everything. They've caused all the suffering around the world, wars and everything. And the way that they murder people and the sacrifices and witchcraft and Illuminati is just horrendous. They thrive on it. This is my observation, my opinion. Moving on here, mathematically, they represent the well-known calculation, namely, the ratio of a diameter of the circumference of a circle, as in 3.14, or the value of pi, as this ratio is called, the symbol being always used in mathematical formula to express it. I'm telling you, mathematics, to these people, what they know is magic. They know things which they don't share with the rest of us, just like during the early part of the Dark Ages, when I think it was 400 years after Jesus' birth, when Rome embraced Christianity and had the big meeting and kind of mixed it up with the pagan religion to make a satisfactory fake Christian religion for the world, using the pagan satanic witchcraft holidays, like having Jesus born on the 25th, which is actually the winter solstice on the 21st of December. And then the sun kind of stalls out before it starts heading back north for 3 days. So that's 21, 22, 23, 24. And then Jesus is born on the 25th. So when the sun comes back, it's being resurrected and it's going to bring spring and plants and flowers and all that other stuff, instead of the death of winter. This was their religion. And they credited it all to the gods of the skies and the planets and stars. And they sacrificed human beings to please these gods. Get it? Got it? All right, I had some highlighted notes here. So again, these little sentences and words I go over should click with people's brains, and they'll say, wait a minute, all this stuff Rick's talking about with his investigation appears to be connecting the dots. Well, here we go. In the Kabbalah, this is a secret doctrine now, the same numbers are the value for Jehovah. Wait a minute, Jehovah? And since the numerical values are the 3 letters which compose his name, remember Jehovah Witnesses, which I think are part of these evil organizations, created by Mr. Russell, one of the Illuminati members, FYI, and others. Jod, Vu, and twice he are respectively the different symbols, and again trice 721. 10 is the mother of the soul, for life and light are therein united, says Hermes. And we got Hermes, and apparently the Statue of Liberty is actually Hermes in a dress. Remember, these creatures are androgynous, male and female. Like Conchita Wurst, who won the Eurovision contest in Europe, which is like the American Idol, whose head was dressed up like Jesus and the body in a dress, who sang the song Phoenix Rising with the words, "You can't stop us." And this year, one of the leading contestants is a gay man from Israel. And apparently over in Russia, they tore up his passport and were giving him some difficulties. All this stuff is symbolic, and they keep putting stuff in the news, how gay people or transgender people or all this other, or men wanting to go into girls' bathrooms, and it's all created to mess with our minds. Change society for the better or the worse. Do the ends justify the means, the murder and mayhem they intend to cause for some kind of nirvana paradise in the future? For them, remember, we're animals, so it's not for us. For number is born of the spirit, and the number 10 from matter, chaos feminine, and the unity has made the 10 and the 10 unity. By the means of the Torah, the Alma grammatical method of the Kabbalah, and the knowledge of 1065-21, a universal science may be obtained regarding cosmos and its mysteries. Rabbi Yogo. The rabbis regarded the numbers 10, 6, and 5 as the most sacred of all. The reader may be told that an American Kabbalist has now discovered the same number of the Elohim. It came to the Jews from Chaldea. See Hebrew methodology in the Masonic Review, July 1885. So you got the Masonic Review from the Freemasons. You got the Hebrews mentioned here, the Jews mentioned here, the American Kabbalists mentioned here. It's all connected. But who would know it? Who would know it? This set of figures must have the same meaning, since the 314, we all know that's pi, how you measure the diameter, circumference of a circle, all that. Alright, moving on. It is greatly corroborated, need some water, corroborated by the significant fact that Anna now, the name of the mother of the Virgin Mary. So they're saying the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus, his name was Anna, now represented by the Roman Catholic Church as having given birth to her daughter in an immaculate way. So they're saying Anna, Mary's mother, gave birth to Mary in an immaculate way also. Mary conceived without sin is derived from the Chaldeian an, heaven, or astral light, anima mundi, whence Anita, Devi Durga, the wife of Siva, is also called Anna Purana. Did you catch that? We find the same expression in Egypt. These are some notes on the bottom. She was no less the mother than the wife of Amun, one of the principal titles of the god being the husband of his mother, the goddess Mut, or Mut, is addressed as Our Lady, the Queen of Heaven, and of the earth, thus sharing these titles with the other mother goddesses, Isis, Hathor, etc., Maspero. And we got Isis mentioned here now. Connecting the dots. Alright, another day has passed. I don't want to continue with this video, but maybe a little comment is necessary. I noticed on the last two, 84 Part 1, this book, and 85 Part 1, Morals and Dogma, which I'm beginning to see, the content is quite similar. Anyways, somebody doesn't like both of them and gave me a thumbs down and a thumbs down. Although I'm getting quite a lot of views and a couple comments from people thanking me for doing it, saying the information is great, wonderful. So, I suppose you can't please the people who are into the New Age, the occultism, the gay agenda. And they're making haters out of people who just read books and share the information. With that said, I got a couple strange things to talk about. I was downtown Asheville, North Carolina yesterday. And as usual, we have a lot of artists and musicians. There was this one guy sitting on the ground, had an ink pen and was doing art. And giving it away for free. Although when he gave me the piece of art I have here, he signed it. Strange looking signature. I gave him like $5, what I had in my pocket. But I'm noticing something disturbing. Wherever I have gone in the past many years, 10 years, 11 years, like Santa Fe, New Mexico, Maine, North Carolina, Florida, many cities, in pursuit of my investigation, including I've been to Roswell, the Hopi Reservation, Mexico, Costa Rica, searching for the truth. And one thing I've noticed, a lot of people, I'm sure everybody else has noticed this, have a lot of satanic, demonic tattoos. You know, they're not nice little pretty flowers and stuff. They're quite disturbing. The daggers, the skull and bones, all this stuff, and the multiple body piercings. So there seems to me to be some kind of psychic, maybe even satanic possession going on. Because apparently we all have a silver cord in our head that connects our soul to the God world, however you want to believe in that. And some people connect to God and Jesus in the good world. And apparently some people are connected to the dark side. Just my perception. And when I continue to go over this book and Morals and Dogma, and some other interesting books like the Rosicrucian book on training adepts. Look at the old man, the master, showing the young man the way. Another book I came across I have, Darkness Visible, an extraordinary book about some guy who exposed the Freemasons back in 1942, I think. Quite a ways. So anyways, when I was downtown, and I saw this guy, and he had a big stack of these drawings that he did. Quite an artist, actually. But I suspect, and he had a big dagger tattooed on his throat, and It's challenging to live in this world right now. But here is what he drew, and I quizzed him about it a little bit. Now, is that interesting? I'm reminded of that other book I showed with the Peruvian Shama. Ahashka, the drug they take down there, the Shamas do to enter the other dimension. Anyway, some professor, researcher up in the North United States brought him some paper and coloring pens so he could draw. Apparently the Shama down there in Peru was quite the artist. So when he went into this trance state, which Shamas do, to go into another dimension to get cures and solve problems for the tribes, using this drug, however you say that word right there, he drew some very interesting pictures of what he saw on the other side. Look at that snake. And the beings with the hoods on. Another snake. I've done some homework. American Indians and the totem poles, the Chinese and the dragon. This is Peru. And the Shamas. Look at the people in the mouth of that snake. And look at this guy's drawing. So anyways, I go to these art shows, and a lot of the art is quite disturbing mentally. Another book I ran across that I have, A Manual of Astrology. I remember, I think I'm fairly proficient on using a pendulum. I think I can find water in the ground and check the quality of water or vitamins when I want to take them, or if food is still good. Anyways, I do practice and read books and study that stuff, which I do not think is evil. As Jesus said, test the spirits. Just because some entity is incommunicado, people hear voices, and I hear this all the time these days, that people are communicating with something. But you have to ask in Jesus' name, is this a demonic being, or does the being in communication with you believe in Jesus? Did Jesus live? And if it says no, then you know it's lying to you. Because without a question, the opposite of Moses' commandments he got from God, the opposite of those are the Book of Law, Aleister Crowley, the evilest man alive. So just as God would tell us the truth and Jesus would tell us the truth, these other entities on the dark side will deceive us, intend to deceive us. Just like when I did a pendulum on this book, and it says that 34% of the information was true. They always use some truth to convince people that the rest of it's true. But 34 minus 100 is 66% is a deception, and it's just a little bit interesting, funny coincidence, that 66 would be the false information, the number. But in this new manual of astrology, 1912, right here down the bottom, 1912. What I noticed when I was going through it, and I was reading Helena Blavatsky's book. Oh my! Everything in here matches what I've been reading in Helena Blavatsky's book. Let's see, where's the word? The afflicting planet, the sun and the moon, the zodiac, everything above my finger there on that paragraph. So all this stuff with astrology. Sun, the moon, Mars, all the stuff we've been talking about in Helena Blavatsky's book is in this old book on astrology. And I have more interesting books here. I've got one on hand reading. The Law of Scientific Hand Reading. When was this published? 1900. Interesting. So I was going to lend this to a friend of mine who says she would like to read it. But apparently, it's pretty intense information if you want to study this stuff. So when I get back here, keep all that in your mind. And the seemingly very strange things going on in the world right now. So moving on, to finish this video, had to move indoors for my little outdoor production because it's cold outside today. In May, in the mountains of North Carolina. Cinco de Mayo, 5th of May. A lot of people will go out and have a beer at a Spanish restaurant or bar. Cinco de Mayo. Done that plenty of times myself. Okay, here we go. The divas. So what's a diva? Pitris, Risha, the Saris, and the Osiris. The Daidaeus, the Datius, the Neananis, Gar Harvest, etc., etc., all have their synonyms in our secret doctrine. Divas are supposed to be some kind of entities in the other dimension. As well as in the Kabbalah and the Hebrew angelology. But it is useless to give their ancient names as it would only create confusion. Many of these may be found now, even in the Christian hierarchy, of divine and celestial powers. All those thrones and dominions, virtues and principalities. Cherubs, you know, the little cherub, small baby-like entities you see around God in the pictures of God, cherubs. Seraphs and demons, and various denizens of the sidereal world are the modern copies of archaic prototypes. Do people not understand what we are dealing with when this guy says he draws these things? These images come to his mind. He had a big dagger tattooed on his throat and a bunch of other stuff, and he said he grew up in a horrible family background. Does anybody want to think this guy might not be just connected to the other world? The dark side? This is a book about Freemasonry in 1942. The guy told everything. I'm going to read this and make this one of the videos. And it was a big uproar back then when he did this. 1942. So here we are reading the Secret Doctrine, the foundation of the New Age. Helena Blavatsky, Alice Beatty, Bailey, Annie Besant, and all these people in succession were the creators of the Lucifer Publishing Trust Company in New York, which published a lot of the New Age books. And later on they changed it to Lucas Trust. Both Lucas and Lucifer mean light, of course. And this is the leading, these are the people who are in control of the United Nations, pushing the biodiversity, Agenda 21, depopulation. Mother Earth, the planet, is choking to death because we humans are killing it. We humans are evil, they want to tell us. It says it in their material. Ted Turner, Bill Gates, all these people want to see more people dead. Bill Gates says if we vaccinate everybody, it'll solve the population problem. WTH on that one. And then in the information I'm learning about World War II and the relentless bombing of cities like Hamburg, not any military people there. It was an intentional intent to kill 1 million German men, women, and children, mostly old men, women, and children because the men were off at war. And even at night after the intense bombing, anybody who had a light on anywhere, the survivors, they bombed at night and tried to take them out. 100% kill rate they wanted in Hamburg, Germany during World War I. Men, women, and children. It seems to me they're emulating that in the Iraq, Afghanistan, Egypt, Tunisia, Syria, all that Middle East countries, and Africa. Let's not forget all the countries in Africa with the murder and mayhem. And the money and weapons are supplied to those people, and they try to call it a civil war. It's not. So what is their religion? This New Age people, the people that control the UN, that control the media. Apparently a similar religion of the Kabbalah people, the Talmudic Jewish people, the Zionist Jewish people, the banksters, the elitists, all these Freemasonic people, Rosicrucian people, Jesuits, the Vatican, all these secret mystery school of Babylon cults who are into Lucifer, Satanic, Saturn, Ra, Osiris, Isis, Horus, the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, the obelisk in our city squares, trying to put up the temple of Baal, the demon god, in New York and London, and Shiva, the goddess of destruction, at CERN in Geneva, along with 666, the gigantic goat projected onto the Hoover Dam, Shiva projected onto the Empire State Building, and so much more. I could go on. These Super Bowls, the last half a dozen years, with the satanic Shiva-like dances like Indiana Jones movies during the halftime shows of football games, like the Emmys and Grammys with those demonstrations of Shiva and demonic dances and shows. Conchita Wurst winning the American Idol version, Eurovision in England, Europe. The American version of American Idol. And TV programming, Texas Rangers with the star and the ring around it zooming up on you, which is a satanic symbol if you look up witchcraft. So on and on and on and on. So I thought it'd behoove us to kind of look into the creators of the New Age, which happens to have an office right next door to the United Nations, and probably the people behind all this efforts to create a new world order that the Freemasons leader, Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma, said was needed, wrote a letter to his friend Mazzini in Italy in 1880 or something way back then, saying there would be 3 world wars required. So then you're reading this stuff, this sidereal world with demons, divas, cherubs, thrones and dominions and virtues and principalities. Page 92. The sacred animals are found in the Bible as well as in the Kabbalah. And they have their meaning, a very profound one too, on the page of the origins of life. In the Sefer Jezreel, it is stated that God engraved in the Holy Four, the throne of his glory, the Ophium, wheels of the world's spheres, the Sephirim, the sacred animals, and the ministering angels. Found these three, the air, water, and fire, and ether, he formed his habitation, God. With the astronomical key, these sacred animals became the signs of the zodiac. We all know the signs of the zodiac, whether you're a Libra, or Scorpio, or Leo. I'm an Aquarian, etc., etc. So I got some highlighted notes on the bottom of this page. And H P Blavatsky says, this is the little translation from the 9th and 10th sections, 10 numbers without what? 1, the Spirit of the living God, who liveth in eternities, voice and spirit and word, and this is the Holy Spirit. 3, waters out of spirit. He designed and hewn with them the barren and the void, mud and earth. He designed them as a flower bed, hewn them as a wall, and covered them as a paving. He designed and hewed therewith the throne of glory, and the wheels and the Sephiroth, and the holy animals and the ministering angels, and of them he founded his dwelling, as it is said. He makes his angels spirits, and his servants fiery flames. Which words founded his dwelling show clearly that in the Kabbalah, as in India, the deity was considered as the universe, and was not, in his origin, the extra cosmic God he is now. So again, some people, and I see these artists when I go to art shows and galleries these days, and these people have the images in their mind like this. I think it's concerning. And then some people put in write comments on my essays when I make comments about press releases. Like one time I said that people shouldn't be killing people. And some guy says, man, you're crazy. Go back on your medication. So they really are taking Aleister Crowley's "Do As Thou Wilt," the evilest man alive, who bragged about killing and pedophilia with young children, as satanic rituals to communicate with the other side. Apparently Hiawas, you can look this up, which Aleister Crowley drew a picture of, and it looks just like a gray alien. Page 93. This sloka gives us again a brief analysis of the hierarchies of the Dayan Konhans, called Devas, which means gods in India, or the conscience, intelligence, power, and nature. To this hierarchy corresponds the actual types into which humanity may be divided. I say right now, humanity is divided into 2 large groups. There's probably more, but one is the people who are connected to this stuff. And then the rest of us, some of us, who want to stay connected to God, the 10 Commandments, and Jesus' teaching, that is to treat others how you want to be treated and not be evil. So there's a battle right now. And what I fear from watching the videos of the World War II in Germany, and what I've seen with my own eyes and pictures and watching the news and stuff, the murder and mayhem in the Middle East, the guys shooting videos of them of being in a helicopter, just just machine gunning Arab citizens for being just there, walking, alive. As some people on some videos I've been watching lately, soldiers who came back have testified, and there's quite disturbing accounts they tell of what they were told to do. Remember, this is the religion of the Zionist Talmudic Jews. Yes, we're going to go over that. Verifiable proof of some of the things that they say. Videos that I've already made. The Jewish Utopia by Professor Higgins. Bloody Zion, another video I made. The American Jew Who Moved to Israel, Jack Bernstein video I made. Literally hundreds of hours of videos I've made in going on a couple of years, 3 years, more. I think I made my first video in 2011, and this is 2016. I started my research in 2005 when I went to Costa Rica and sat at a tiki bar. I was the only American. And people from all over the world started to tell me things that, of course, I didn't want to hear. I thought they were crazy. But did I go a little crazy when I got back to Florida and got on my computer and started looking some of the stuff up that they told me? They were correct on all accounts. What an eye-opener. 11 years ago. And I made a mental decision to begin my research. So here we are. The army of the voice is a term closely connected with the mystery of sound and speech as an effort and corollary of the cause, divine thought, as beautifully expressed by P. Christian, the learned author of The History of Magic. I suppose I'll have to get that book. And of L. Homer Rouge de Telleras, the words spoken by, as well as the name of every individual, largely determine his future fate. Why? Because when our soul, mind, creates or revokes a thought, the representative sign of that thought is a self engraved upon the astral fluid, which is the receptacle and, so to say, the mirror of all manifestations of being. Now remember, I said 34% of the material in this book, according to my using my intuitive asking and holding a pendulum. True or not, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying I didn't know the answer, and the pendulum went to 34%. And 34 from 100 is leaving 66% to be false and deceiving information. If Helena Blavatsky was truly in contact with some kind of demonic master on the other side, 66% of what's in this book is a deception, which I suspect, morals and dogma, to be also the case. Remember, Albert Pike was also in communication with interdimensional being, a master, to get his studies and information. Quite the world we live in. What is on the other side waiting for some people? Where do they want to go? What's in their mind? What kind of rage will they have if we do have some catastrophic event planned intentionally in the United States? Whether it's the dollar crashing and the supermarkets being emptied, riots in the street, and people killing each other for morsels of food, does the cosmic world want to bring this about? The rage and evil of humans. Like they've done with all the other wars. They could use a plague, they could release with the black ops laboratories the government is into As I've gone over those books with Leonard Horowitz and others, they created AIDS and they put it out there in the public realm. And they have all kinds of super weapons, telling us now that maybe North Korea is going to release an EMP, electromagnetic pulse, take out the electrical system. Could they fake it all just to take the United States and the world into some kind of horrible situation? To bring this kind of psyche out from the depths of darkness. Don't mean to get emotional, but I'm reading this and I'm seeing this, and I got these books, and I'm watching TV and I'm seeing all the threats of all the scares and pole shift and Yellowstone and earthquakes and tsunamis and threat of World War III, nuclear explosion threats, EMPs, plagues, stock market riots, terrorists. While I see right now, Israel is financially booming to the top, while the United States, for many people, is plummeting, except for those people with their money in the stock market who are laughing all the way to the bank right now. You think they're getting set up for a big fall? Methinks so. Got to keep yourself connected to God. Understand what we're dealing with. Not too nice. The minds of the people out there. Go walk in any city street and see the people. It's got to cause you pain. Say, oh my. Who would have ever thunk that this kind of world would come about? I think in North Carolina, the federal government has says that the law passed that men are to use men's bathrooms and women are to use women's bathrooms is actually an illegal law. The federal government is forcing some kind of new age thinking on everybody, making it a hate crime to be a Christian and talk about Jesus. It's actually, you'll get court-martialed in the army, it says in the manual. You can't talk about Jesus. Why? Jesus only taught good things. But they hate Jesus, these people. And even H P Blavatsky in this book says a lot of derogatory comments about the Christians. So, when our soul mind creates or evokes a thought, the representative sign of that thought is self-engraved upon the astral fluid, which is the receptacle and, so to say, the mirror of all manifestations of being. The sign expresses the thing. The thing is the hidden or occult virtue of the sign. To pronounce a word is to evoke a thought and to make it present. So if you're pronouncing word, is to provoke a thought and make it present. Wouldn't that be called magic? The magnetic potency of the human speech is the commencement of every manifestation in the occult world. So they know words are forms of energy. You can speak into a plastic tube, and on the other side where it comes out, a baffle, and put a little plastic membrane over it and throw some sand on it and say a word, and you'll see a shape, trigonometry, geometric shape appear on different tones and words. Some of them even come out like maple leaves and stuff like that. So words are power. Make no mistake about that. Even in the 1500s and 1600s, a lot of the magicians who worked for the kings and queens in countries like Italy, Spain, England, Germany, they did something they called the beautification of the language. They went through all the words and they changed the spelling of a lot of words and the pronunciation of a lot of words because they said they want to make it more beautiful. I think they were making the words more powerful. Vibrations. And it says it here. To pronounce a word is to evoke a thought and make it present. The magnetic potency of the human speech is the commencement of every manifestation in the occult world. To utter a name is not only to define a being, an entity, but to place it under and condemn it through the emission of the word, verbum, to the influence of one or more occult potencies. Things are, for every one of us, that which the word, makes them while naming them. The word, verbum, or the speech of every man is, quite unconsciously to himself, a blessing or a curse. That is why our present ignorance about the properties or attributes of the idea as well as about the attributes and properties of matter is often fatal to us. Are you hearing me? Okay, some notes on the bottom. She makes comments and definitions of things, and I like to read them too. The literal significance of the word is, among the Eastern occultists of the North, a circular wind, whirlwind. But in that instance, it is the term to denote the ceaseless and eternal cosmic motion. So just take your hand and say, hello, put your hand right up close to your mouth, and you'll feel the vibrations. Those vibrations ripple through space. And apparently the more powerful vibrations are the ones you don't speak. When you're praying to God in your mind, there's electrical impulses that really work. Hence why we pray. And what we think and believe is very important. Very important. People need to wake up. From my studies, and it's not easy doing some of this work, but I sit there and watch a 3.5 hour video like I just did. And the details and the gore and the murder and rape, 8-year-old girls raped dozens of times by these invading Russians from the East, which are more like Asians. They're called Mongolians. And this is the type of people who have the facial structure like Genghis Khan, whose hordes came down from that area hundreds of years ago, whenever, and literally raped and pillaged and murdered across Europe and Asia. I just have to ask, what possesses these people? What possesses them? What kind of human can do that? And of course the media and the people who control our schools and newspaper, TV programming, make things up like Hogan's Heroes, the TV program, to ridicule and make fun of the Germans. So we all think they're just idiots and dopes, when anything could be furthest from the truth. Just like in the United States here now, if they bring about this World War III thing, and if we lose the war, as they say we will, from coast to coast, will they just start mass murdering all the people in those FEMA camps? And the guillotines, 3,000 or 30,000, the army has purchased, the government. Look it up, don't believe me. But do they have some kind of horrific thing planned? What's in the mind of the people now? With all these electronics frequencies and control systems and cell phone towers and satellites and HARP transmitters and dumping heavy metals in the sky and fluoride and chemicals. What kind of witchcraft or technologies can they use on us if it really is a celestial battle of these demonic beings in defiance of God? Now, if you can remember that God said, like in Proverbs, "He who seeks refuge in me, I shall be thy shield." You got to come to grips with what you believe. Which party do you want to go to? This party? Or heaven? Not trying to be a preacher, but I'm reading Helena Blavatsky's book, one of the foundations of the New World Order, the New Age. The symbol is the rainbow, the same as the gay agenda, the rainbow. And all that kind of crazy stuff is right in this book that I'm reading now. I guess some days I just get a little bit more hyped up on this stuff. So the words that we speak can be a blessing or a curse. That is why our present ignorance about the properties or attributes of the idea, as well as about the attributes and properties of matter, is often fatal to us. The literal significance of the word is, among Eastern occultists of the North, a circular wind. Again, hold your hand up in field of vibrations. Words are energies. Cosmic motion, eternal, or rather the force that moves it, which force is tactically accepted as the deity, but never named. It is the eternal karnara, or ever-acting cause. All right, moving on, page 94. Can you imagine how many hours I'll probably have to do to get this book done? 600 pages. And how many videos I'll have to do to get this book done? We'll be here a while, but I think we'll learn something. And that's why some people who have given me some recent thumbs down on this stuff, I don't think they want me talking about this stuff. Although I did get some comments, people saying, "Hey man, keep doing it." Yes, names and words are either benefit or maleficent. They are, in a certain sense, either venomous or health-giving, according to the hidden influences attached to the supreme wisdom, to their elements, that is to say, the letters which compose them, and the numbers correlating to these letters. Now again, I don't mean to keep harping on this, but when I look at this other book here, on the Manual of Astrology, as a magic science, consulting with the interdimensional beings and the stars and the planets, if you believe in this stuff, they do, and they use it. And they use it against us. They abduct young children, like the Talmud says, and some of the videos I watched throughout the last 2,000 years. Many of these Talmudic Jewish folks, Kabbalah Jewish folks, literally abduct a young little child and puncture it full of little holes with pans underneath and put pinchers and other torturous devices on the child so that it'll scream in agony and pain and torture. They don't want the child to die now too quick. It ruins the effect. But they want it to go on and on and on. That poor child is screaming. The same way they do cows and animals when they prepare them for kosher food, the way they do it. There's something sick and mentally deranged about this. To enjoy the suffering. And according to the Talmud, it is a crime for them to have mercy towards the non-Jewish person. If they see somebody falling and bleeding and having an accident, they're not allowed to come to your aid unless you're Jewish. We're dealing with something So horrific. So incomprehensible to the rest of us. And these people are the people who are running our governments and huge corporations and banking systems, medical systems, educational systems, media, the news, Hunger Games, Divergent, the movie, and all these other sick and perverted shows on TV showing the murder and the evil side and dark side of man right up close. I usually have to turn off that kind of programming. Even that show Gotham, like a Batman kind of program, Gotham, I could only watch a few series of that before I said, man, I can't take any more of this. I caught on to it on Texas Rangers, and they're portraying us as really evil entities. And I think it's all intentional, because they want to get a lot of people to believe it. Thinking and words are powerful, so when they do change people's thinking and they program people, trances, mesmerization, drugs, whatever, symbolism, this creates some kind of reality. Yes? No? Yes, names and words are either benefit or maleficent, venomous or health-giving, according to the hidden influence attached to the supreme wisdom to their elements, that is to say, the letters which compose them, and the numbers correlative to these letters. Well, at least we not forget, Aleister Crowley changed the spelling of his name so that in numerology it was 666. Santa Claus, if you put it in a numerology calculator, is 666. Monsanto, the genetically modified foods which are not good for animals, rats, or people, is 666. Newt Gingrich's real last name, McPherson, is 666. Kissinger, who was indicted on world war crimes, is 666. And so many other words. Eric Schmidt, CEO of Google, 666. Go look it up. So this is strictly true as an esoteric teaching accepted by all the Eastern schools of occultism. Remember, the East is over there towards China, Japan, Mongolia, the East, India, the East, Israel, the East. The West would have been Europe and Germany and all those countries. So this is the Eastern occultism that H P Blavatsky went to study to bring back to New York, create the Theosophist Society, in cahoots apparently with the Freemasons who want to destroy Christianity. Even if we remember Rabbi Marvin Entelman's book, To Eliminate the Opate. Opate means believing in God. PhD Jewish author Henry Macau in Canada. Illuminati, the cult that hijacked the world. And so much more evidence that none of this is a coincidence. In the Sanskrit, it is also the Hebrew and all the other alphabets, every letter that has occult meaning and its rationale. It is a cause and an effect of a preceding cause and combination of these very often produces the most magical effect. So words and letters have power. They are frequencies. Just like when you string on a guitar, you go, ding, it's a vibration. A tuning fork, ding, it's a vibration. Your cell phone, invisible vibrations you can't hear, but yet powerful, dangerous. Put 4 of them together on the table, aimed at each other. The antennas all close together. Throw a match in there, it'll ignite. You can watch those videos on YouTube. Think about it. They got the HARP transmitters, and apparently they're able to cause earthquakes. Vibration. The vowels especially contain the most occult and formidable potencies. The mantras, these are mantras, incantations, you say these things like abracadabra, hocus pocus. I'm sure they have other ones, certain kinds of prayers and stuff. They're using this against us, by the way. And even in the TV programming, and in songs that you've seen where they play their record backwards, and it's doing some kind of demonic words. Here it is in Helena Blavatsky's book, page 94. The mantras, esoterically, magically rather than religious, are chanted by the Brahmins, and so are the Vedas and other scriptures. The army of the voice is the prototype of the host of the Logos, or the word of the Sefer Jezerath, called in the Secret Doctrine. It is from this number 10, the creative nature, the mother, the occult cipher, or not, the ever-procreating and multiplying in union of the unit, one, I, or the spirit of life, that the whole universe proceeded. In the Anujita, a conversation is given between a Brahma and his wife on the origin of speech and its occult properties. The wife asks how speech came into existence, which was prior to the other's speech or mind. The Brahma tells her that the apana, inspirational breath, became Lord, changes that intelligence, which does not understand speech or words, into the state of apina, and thus opens the mind. Thereupon he tells her a story, a dialogue between speech and mind. Both went to the self of being, i.e. to the individual higher self. As Nalakatata thinks, to Prajapita, according to the commentator Arjuna Mishra, and ask him to destroy their doubts and decide which of them proceeded and was superior to the other. To this the Lord said, mind is superior. But speech answered the self of being by saying, I verily yield you your desires, meaning that by speech he acquired what he desired. Thereupon again the self told her that there are two minds, the movable and the immovable. The immovable is with me, he said. The movable is in your dominion, i.e. of speech, on the plane of matter. To that you are superior. But inasmuch, O beautiful one, as you came personally to speak to me, in the way you did, i.e. proudly, therefore, O Sharavistka, you shall never speak after hard exhalation. You shall never speak hard. The goddess speech. Vach, the goddess also of the secret learning or esoteric wisdom, verily dwelt always with the prana and the apana. But, O noble one, going with the apana, wind, vital air, though impelled without the prana, expirational breath, she ran up to Parajipatita, Brahma, saying, O pleased, O venerable sir. Then the prana appeared again, nourishing speech. And therefore speech never speaks after hard or inspirational exhalation. It is always noisy and noiseless. Of these two, the noiseless is superior to the noisy speech. So apparently the noiseless speech, when you think in your head, is more powerful than the speech when I'm speaking. So if I think in my head, God help me, or I say with my lips, God help me, is the soundless speech more powerful? But if you, I think that if you speak it with your voice, you're probably also speaking with your mind too. So you get both effects. The speech which is produced in the body by means of the prana, and which then is transformed into the apana, and then becoming assimilated with the udana, the physical organs of speech. So speech formerly spoke. Hence the mind is distinguished by reason of its being immovable, and the goddess speech by reason of her being movable. This allegory is the root of the occult law, which prescribes silence upon the knowledge of certain secret and invisible things perceptible only to the spiritual mind in the sixth sense, and which cannot be expressed by noisy or uttered speech. This chapter on Anujita explains, says Arjuna Mishra, Paranayana, or regulation of the breath of yoga practices. So a lot of people are into yoga these days. I wonder if that's just a coincidence, or somebody's bringing about some kind of connection between the interdimensional mind and those people practicing yoga. Seems to be in these days, and I'm reading it in this book, so it becomes suspicious to me. This mode, however, without the previous acquisition of, or at least full understanding of the two higher senses, of which there are 7, as will be shown, pertains rather to the lower yoga. The Hatha, so-called, was and still is discontinuanced by the Arhats. It is injurious to the health and alone can never develop into Raja Yoga. This story is quoted to show how inseparably connected are in the metaphysics of the old intelligence beings, or rather intelligences, with every sense of function, whether physical or mental. The occult claimed that there are 7 senses in man, as in nature, as there are 7 states of consciousness. All right, moving on. The Brahma speaks of it, of the institution of the 7 sacrificial priests, Hotis. He says the nose and the eyes and the tongue and the skin and the ear as the 5th, or smell, sight, taste, touch, and hearing, mind and understanding, are the 7 sacrificial priests separately stationed, and which, dwelling in a minute space, still do not perceive each other on this sensuous plane. None of them except mine. For mine says, the nose smells, not without me. The eye does not take in color without me, etc., etc. I am the eternal chief among all elements. That would be the mind. Remember, I'm just reading here what she's writing, has written, so that you can kind of formulate some opinion of your own, what to think about the forces behind the Masonic lodges, Illuminati, Zionist, Jesuits, and all the other mystery schools of Babylon, including witchcraft, which control our governments, and apparently want to bring about a new age and a new world order, and World War III to bring that about, which apparently will include horrific death, murder, and mayhem like we all witnessed in the Middle East in the last 10 plus years, and World War I, World War II. If you actually looked into it and learned the details, and to even contemplate or consider that they have that planned for Europe and the United States, and probably a lot of the other parts of the world, one might want to wake up and get connected to the real power, God, our Father who art in heaven, His Son Jesus, etc., if Christianity is your religion. I'm sure God speaks to people all over the world in their religions. How well the ancients were acquainted with the correlation of forces and all the recently discovered phenomena of mental and physical faculties and functions, with many more mysteries also, may be found in reading chapters 6, 7, and 8 of this in Philosophy and Mystic Learning. Priceless work. See the quarrel of the senses about their respective superiority, and their taking the Brahma, the Lord of all creatures, as their arbiter. You are all greatest and not greatest, or superior as objects. As A. Miser says, none being independent of the other. You are all possessed of one another's qualities. All are greatest in their own spheres, and all support one another. There is one unmoving life wind or breath, the yoga inhalation. So when you're practicing yoga and you inhale, is that powerful? So called, which is the breath of the one or higher self. This is the on my own soul accumulated in numerous forms. The breath, this breath, voice, self, or wind, is the synthesis of the seven senses, normally as minor deities and esoterically the serpentry of the army of the voice. Page 97. Next we see cosmic matter scattering and forming itself into elements grouped into the mystic four within the fifth element. The ether, the lining of Akasa, the anima mundi, or mother of cosmos. Dots, lines, triangles, cubes, circles, and finally spheres. Why or how? Because, says the commentary, such is the first law of nature, because nature geometrizes universally in all her manifestations. Nature correlates her geometric forms, and later also her compound elements, in which there is no place for accident or chance. It is a fundamental law in occultism that there is no rest or cessation of motion in nature. That which seems to rest is only the change of one form or another, the change of the substance going hand in hand with that of form, as we are taught in occult physics, which thus seem to have anticipated the discovery of the conservation of matter by a considerable time. Says the ancient commentary to stanza 4. The mother is a fiery fish of life. She scatters her spawn, and the breath motion heats and quickens it. After which law number comes into operation. Motion, the breath, becomes the whirlwind and sets them in rotation. And some notes are highlighted on the bottom of this page. It is the knowledge of this law that permits and helps the Arhat to perform his siddhis, or various phenomena, such as disintegration of matter, the transport of objects from one place to another. How does the process of cooling and contracting the mass impart to it a rotary motion? The question is simply treated in the addendum. It is not materialistic science that can ever solve it. Motion is eternal in the unmanifested and periodical in the manifest, says an occult teaching. It is when heat caused, turn the page here, by the descent of flame into primordial matter, causes its particles to move, which motion becomes whirlwind. A drop of liquid assumes a spherical form, owing to its atoms moving around themselves in their ultimate, unresolvable, and nominal essence, unresolvable by physics science at any rate. What makes 10, or the perfect number applied to the Creator? The name given to the totality of the creators blended by the monothesis into one, as the Elohim, Adam, Kidman, or Sephirah, the crown, are the androgynine synthesis of the 10 Sephiroth, which stands for the symbol of the manifested universe in the polarized Kabbalah. The esoteric Kabbalist, however, following the Eastern occultists, divide the upper Sephiroth triangle from the rest, the Sephirah, the Kanshma, or Binah, which leaves 7 Sephiroth. As for the Sabatvat, the Orientalists explain the terms as meaning the universal plastic matter diffused through space, with perhaps half an eye to the ether of science, but the occultists identify it with Father, Mother, on the mystic plane. Oh my. Makes people wonder why. Why are they trying to destroy Christianity? What is this new one world religion? Darkness, the boundless or no number. 0 for the unknown quality. Are these the enclosed within the 0, the circle? The boundless circle are the sacred 4, and the 10 are the arupa. Subjective, formless, universe. Then come the sons, the 7 fighters, the 1, the 8 left out, and his breath, which is the light maker. Wow. Adai Sonnet, translated literally, is the first or primal ancient, which identifies the Kabbalistic Ancient of Days and the Holy Aged, Sephirah and the Adam Kidman, with Brahma, the Creator, called also Sanat among his other names and titles. Savbharvat is the mystic essence, the plastic root of the physical nature. Numbers when manifested. The number in its unity of substance on the highest plane. The number is of Buddhist use and is synonym for the fourfold anima mundi, the Kabbalistic archetypical world, from whence proceed the creative, formulative, and the material worlds. The worlds are all subject to rulers, regions, rajas, pitras, with the Hindus, angels, with the Jews and Christians, gods, with the ancients in general. That's what it says. The circle, this means the boundless circle. See the circle? I have to peek around the corner to make sure I got it square. I'm sure some of you out there are laughing. Look at him, he's peeking around the corner. I just feel comfortable doing the videos the way I do them. I thought about buying some more sophisticated software and all that, but this method seems to work for me, and I hope it's working for you. And I do appreciate thumbs up to kind of combat those people who want me to shut up and give me a thumbs down. And if you want to add some supporting information to the comment section, please do. And of course there is a donate button. It does take money to survive, and if you've been noticing, I've been making less videos lately. because I have been having to focus more on my job. I own a business, to try to make some money. So it is a battle between me continuing to do this and going out there and trying to hustle and do some jobs. What you got to do, what you got to do. No complaining here. I trust up there. It all seems to work out. So the circle means the boundless circle, 0, becomes a figure or number only when one of the 9 figures precede it, and thus manifests its value and potency, the word or logos in union with voice and spirit. The triad forms within the circle the tetrakas, or sacred four, the square within the circle being the most potent of all magical figures. You think I make up the stuff I say, when I'm telling you, the witchcraft, Illuminati, Talmud, Kabbalah, Zionists, Jesuits, all these mystery school of Babylon people, occults, groups, who swear on threat of death not to divulge the secrets. And these are the people in control of our world right now, causing all the wars and murder and mayhem on planet Earth. Apparently these people are the destroyers. The one rejected is the son of our system. The esoteric version may be found in the oldest Sanskrit scriptures. In the Rig Veda, Aditi, the boundless or infinite space, translated by Mr. Max Muller, the visible infinite, visible by the naked eye, the endless expanse beyond the earth, beyond the clouds, beyond the sky, and is the equivalent of mother space coeval with darkness. She is very properly called the mother of the gods, the Diva Matre, as it is from her cosmic matrix that all the heavenly bodies in our system were born, the sun and the planets. 8 sons were born from the body of Aditi. She approached the gods with 7, but cast away the 8th, the Matrada, our son. So they call our son the Matrada, and the mother cast that one away. The 7 sons called the Aditya, Ditwa, are cosmically and astronomically the 7 planets. And the sun have been being excluded from their numbers shows plainly that the Hindus may have known and in fact knew of a 7th planet without calling it Uranus, but esoterically and theologically, so to say, the Aditas are, in their primitive, most ancient meanings, the 8 and the 12 great gods of the Hindu pantheon. The 7 allow the mortals to see their dwellings, but show themselves only to arhats, says an old proverb. Their dwellings standeth here for planets. The ancient commentary gives an allegory and explains it. I'll say that in a minute. I'm going to go back and read these notes that I had highlighted. In union with the spirit and the voice, referring to the abstract thought and concrete voice in the manifestation thereof, the effect of the cause. Adam Kidmon, or tetragrammaton, is the logos in the Kabbalah. Therefore, this triad answer in the latter to the highest triangle of Cathor, Chakma, and Binar, the last a female potency, and at the same time a male Jehovah, as partaking in the nature of Chakma and male wisdom. The Secret Doctrine teaches that the sun is the central star and not a planet. Yet the ancients knew of and worshipped 7 great gods, excluding the sun and earth, which was that mystery god they set apart. Of course not Uranus, discovered only by Herschel in 1781. But could it not be known by another name? Turning the page. Could it not be known by another name? Says the author of Masonry Occultic. Occult sciences have discovered through astronomical calculations that the number of the planets must be 7. The ancients were led to introduce the sun into the scale of the celestial harmonies and make him occupy the vacant place. Thus, every time they perceived an influence that pertained to none of the 6 planets known, they attributed it to the sun. The sun, which is the central star, relatively motionless, turning only on its axis and regulating time and measure. The sun rotates on its axis always in the same direction in which the planets revolve in their respective orbits. Astronomy teaches us. All right, got this other thing I need to read here. 8 houses were built by Mother. 8 houses for her 8 divine sons. 4 large and 4 small ones. So apparently these would be 8 planets. 8 brilliant sons, according to their age and merits. Balilu Maratanda was not satisfied, though his house was the largest. He began to work as the huge elephants do. He breathed, drew into his stomach the vital airs of his brothers. He sought to devour them. They were not robbed, affected, and laughed. "Do your worst, sir. You cannot reach us," they said. But the smaller wept. They complained to the mother. She exiled Balilu to the center of her kingdom, from whence he could not move. Since then, he only watches and threatens. So she took one of the planets and threw him into the center of the group, apparently now called the sun, so he couldn't move and harm the other planets. He pursues them, turning slowly around himself. They turning swiftly from him, and he following afar the direction in which his brothers move to the path that encircles their houses. From that day he feeds on the sweat of the mother's body. He fills himself with her breath and refuse. Therefore she rejected him. Thus the rejected son, S-O-N, being the sun, S-U-N, evidently as shown above, the sun, S-U-N, sun, S-O-N, refer not only to our planets, but to the heavenly bodies in general. Himself only a reflection of the central spiritual sun, S-U-N. Suru is the prototype of these bodies that evolved after him. In the Vedas, he is called Loka Chakshan, the eye of the world, our planetary world. And he is one of the 3 chief deities. Thus he is depicted as drawn by 7 horses, and by 1 horse with 7 heads, the former referring to the 7 planets, the latter to the one common origin of the one cosmic element. This one element is called figuratively fire. The Vedas, Altarya Brahma of Hog, also teach that the fire verily is all the deities. But our sun, it is taught, merely detached itself earlier than all the others, as the rotating mass contracted. And it is their elder, bigger brother, therefore not their father. The 8 Aditas, the gods, are all formed from the eternal substance, commentary matter, the mother, or the world stuff, which is both the 5th and 6th cosmic principle. the upandi, or basis of the universal soul, just as in man, a microcosm manus is the upahi of Buddhai. There is a whole poem on the progenic battles fought by the growing planets before the final formation of cosmos, thus accounting for the seemingly disturbed position of the systems of several planets, the plane of the satellites of some, Neptune, Uranus, for instance, of which the ancients knew nothing, it is said, being tilted over, thus giving more an appearance of retrograde motion. These planets are called warriors, the architects, and are accepted by the Roman Church as the leaders of the heavenly host, thus showing the same traditions. Having evolved from the cosmic space, before the final formation of the primaries and the annihilation of the planetary nebula, the sun, we are taught, drew in the depths of its mass all of the cosmic vitality he could, threatening to engulf his weaker brothers, before the law of attraction and repulsion was finally adjusted, after which he began feeding on the mother's refuge and sweat. In other words, on these portions of ether, the breath of the universal soul, of the existence and constitution of which science is as yet absolutely ignorant. The theory of this kind having been propounded by Sir William Grove, the correlation of the physical forces, addresses the British Association 1866, who theorized that the systems are gradually changing by atmospheric additions or subtractions, or by accretions and dimutations arising from nebular substances. This is about as close an approximation to the occult teachings as science ever imagined. For occultism explains it by the dead breath, given back to Matidra, and his feeding on the sweat and refuse of the mother space, what could now affect Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter, but little would have killed such comparatively small houses as Mercury, Venus, and Mars. The breath of all the seven, he said, to the Blahaskara, light-making, because they, the planets, were all comets and suns in their origin. Thus the sons of light clothe themselves in the fabric of darkness. They are called allegorically the heavenly snails on account of their, to us, formless intelligences, inhabiting unseen their starry and planetary homes, and so to speak, carrying them as the snails do along with themselves in their revolution. Heat, the breath, attraction and repulsion, the three great factors of motion, are all conditions under which all of the members of all of the primitive family are born, developed and die to be reborn after the night of Brahma, during which eternal matter relapses periodically into its primary undifferentiated state. The most attenuated gases can give us no idea of its nature to the modern physicists. Centers of forces, at first, the invisible sparks of primordial atoms differentiate into molecules, thus becoming suns, S-U-N-S, passing gradually into objectivity, gaseous, radiant, cosmic, and one whirlwind, or motion, finally giving the impulse to the form and the initial motion, unregulated and sustained by the never-resting breath, the Dylon Kohas. So with that, I'll end that talking about the planets and the sun and the mother bearing them. And then I'm reminded still here, the new astrology. And we can see that they give attributes to the planets of significance. I'll just read a couple. The sun gives honors, glory, elevation, high patronage, celebrity, public offices, health, and power. Venus gives love affairs, attachments, armors, marriage, joy, pleasures, gaiety, favors of women, success, and wealth. Mercury gives relations and family, commerce, industrial journeys, letters, messages, anxieties, worries, and many occupations and mental activity. The moon gives chances, voyages, travels, afflictions of the body according to the signs as it is in the mysteries and romances and fantasies and popularity, public life. Saturn gives delays, impediments, defects, secrets, fatalities, falls from position, misfortunes, melancholy, moods, chronic hurt, sorrows, disease, and hurts to women and children. Isn't that crazy? Saturn gives delays, impediments, defects, fatalities, falls from position, misfortunes, melancholy, moods, chronic hurts, sorrows, disease, and hurts to women and children. It makes the native independent unhappy, secretive, cautious, jealous, miserly, and governed by habit. Saturn is also the symbol for Satan. Coincidence again? Coincidence and coincidence. So here I am reading this crazy stuff here in this New Age by H P Blavatsky. Probably saying her name wrong. And my next video will be another portion from Morals and Dogma. The Night of the Brazen Serpent, which I'm just going to look at one page here, talks about Jupiter and Osiris and Osmod, Apollo, the Lamb, Typhus, God of Light, and the planets and all those things, the Zodiac, Libra, Pisces. So we keep looking at H P Blavatsky's book. And Morals and Dogma, we're going to continue to find this mystery school of Babylon religion, which appears to be the New Age religion they want to force on us, which, as Albert Pike praises Lucifer, and H P Blavatsky created the Lucifer Publishing Trust. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this stuff out. Something sinister and evil about it. Is 66% of what she says in this book false? Is 66%, what percentage of this book is false, is part of the deception? My inquiring mind wants to know. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Miracle reporting.